Welcome to Trash Talk.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I was hoping you forgot it was Tuesday.
No, I sometimes can. I often get up in the morning and have to ask Lauren what day it is.
There was a
Especially
part of
when you retire, sometimes one day is like a Xerox copy of the last one.
there
So,
was there was a part of me that was like, if he forgets, I don't know if I want to remind him.
right. Sit here. There's a just have a shot of Stuart sitting there just on a blank screen waiting for Brandon to drop in.
That's it, man. Good God.
But since we're into spring and everything, we started talking about getting lazy. And I mean, for me, being retired, it's probably a heck of a lot easier for me to get lazy than it is for you, because you've got 12 things on your plate every day. And so what does lazy mean to Brandon?
Man, I got to tell you, definitely the last 2 months, I feel like it has been a lot of nonstop. Mentally, physically, blah, 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 which is, not always a bad thing.
Right.
But I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Okay. So when I tell you that I'm feeling it's bad. And I think that I equivalent being lazy to just resting at this point. Like there's different levels of lazy. Like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
we're going to go outside and go for a walk and go to the park and just kind of, that's not really lazy. That's more just chill. Lazy is like, look, I'm off today. I may not shower. I think I'm gonna I know what I'm gonna eat at some point, but I'm probably just gonna binge watch this and then watch this movie. If I fall asleep later, it's okay. Like that, I want one of those days, and I have not had that day in a long time.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of people, they have to save that up for that, say, summer vacation. That that you're taking a week off in the summer, and it's surprising how you plan to be lazy, and it sometimes just doesn't happen.
Right. You schedule lazy time.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes that time off is spent running around doing things, making ends meet. If you do go on a trip, you plan to check into that hotel and just go down to the pool and sit in a chair, and all of a sudden a phone call or whatever, and you get tied up, or you got to excuse yourself, or it rains. Something always interferes. But like you said earlier, sometimes you see a 20-minute window and you say, that's it. Just like the picture behind me, plop, just 20 minutes. Give me a chance to lay down and recharge. That can be lazy too.
Well, and you got to do that. I do that a lot before work. I mean, if Luke is at his mom's, in the morning before I go to work, unless I work early, like let's say go in at 10 or 11 and I'm up at 6 regardless,
Yep.
Or 7 if I'm lazy. And I'm like, you know what? I've got about an hour and a half before I got to get ready and get functional and plan. Man, I'm not going to get out of bed, spring coffee, and start going at it. I'm going to be lazy. And that lazy could mean watching TV. It could mean scrolling. It could mean answering emails in my underwear. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. And for me, every once in a while, I always look at the weather for the next day before I go to bed at night. I want to see what's the temperature going to be tomorrow in the morning, in the afternoon. And if I see that there's going to be a light breeze and it might be about 70 or something in the afternoon, I want to find time just to go into the backyard, sink into my Adirondack chair, and either read something,
Yeah.
or just stare at the trees blowing in the wind and listen to the birds. I mean, that to me almost is the height of laziness.
I love it, though. I am a backyard patio, front porch, whatever sort of guy. Luke and I were out there because, like I said, our area's we're being renovated right now, so we're almost almost done with what we want. Yeah, well, what I want. He's just
Yeah.
helping me. He was sitting out there. He was finishing his milkshake because we got milkshakes one day, and I put it in the freezer so he could save it. And he was finishing his milkshake. I was back there. We had the candle on, the candles, the torches, and we had little table torches. Those were on. We got music on. It's evening, and him and I were just like chilling. And like he's at that age now where he'll sit and he just talking to me about, I mean, God knows what. It's everything.
Yeah.
It's from deep questions to I had a dream about a monster. I mean, it's all over across the board, But I'm just chilling there and I'm like, this is cool. And I do that by myself. I put music on,
Yeah.
go sit out there with a cup of coffee, water. I don't really drink that much anymore, so I don't really do that. Occasionally I'll have a beer, a glass of wine, and just sit.
And for me, I've never been an earbud kind of guy. I'm more like you with the over the ear headphones.
Yeah.
Always did like that from back from college days. I would rather surround my ears with the sound instead of an earbud where any kind of extraneous noise out there can creep in. But sometimes, and you can relate to this, sometimes when you do sit down and you put on the headphones and you start to listen to music, your mood changes. So maybe you want to listen to a little jazz, maybe you want to listen to some light rock, maybe you want to just listen to some instrumental music.
Yeah.
And what you listen to is what changes your zone. And I think that adds up to how much actual rest you get in that period of time that you've set aside to do it.
Well, I think so too. I think the biggest thing is and we talked about this one of our shows about how rapid fire our brains are. I I struggle. I struggle really hard. I mean, I know I'm not the only one to shut off that brain to a level that's acceptable for the human being. Uh Unfortunately, like sometimes I can't figure out how to stop thinking 13 steps ahead. I can't. Like I've
Right.
struggled with it hard. You can be resting and sitting on a couch outside in a patio, sitting in a pool. But if you can't get that thought process under control, you're not resting.
Well, even psychologists have said that if you are thinking about things even in your sleep, you're
Yes.
thinking about, ideas come up, and which for those of us that do things like podcasts, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, an idea pops into your head. The thing is, you forget to get up and write it down, and also when you wake up in the morning, you can't remember what it was, but your brain doesn't shut off; it's still moving. And also that means you may not get as much restful sleep as you need or
True.
want.
True.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's why I said, for me, I got to enclose my head and listen to music. If it's meditation music, it might be sitar or something, but just something that allows you to completely separate yourself from the world for,
Yes.
if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe you're fortunate to have a whole hour that you can just, so you're probably going to fall asleep to it, but there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, there isn't. And running for me is probably the number one way that my brain decides to chill out. And I can tell I haven't been doing that as consistently over the last month.
Yeah.
It's not saying I'm not doing it. It's just not. Well, I can also tell by my weight because I'm like, oh, I was losing weight. Wait, why is that not going away now? And so when I do that consistently, whether it's 4 days a week or five would be nice, but four is realistic, then I feel better. I mean, my legs might be sore, but my mind feels better. And I can deal with the physical side a lot easier than the mental side.
Do you listen to music while you're running?
Yeah, absolutely. I say 90% of the time. There's sometimes I have my headphones on and there's nothing on. And sometimes I do that in case I run into somebody I don't want to talk to. I can zone out and ignore them. typically I listen to music because I don't know. It just I have certain playlists and I have certain things that I like that get me focused and in the zone. I have listened to podcasts before running, like especially if I was running and I was doing research for something for a guest that was coming on.
Yeah.
But then I don't like that because then I'm focusing on the podcast and notes and I'm not focusing on my run. I usually have crappy runs that way, you know.
Well, I think also that even though the time is the same, when you're listening to music, it seems like if you're out running for a half an hour, wow, that really went by fast because I
Absolutely.
was concentrating on the music rather than concentrating on the rubber hitting the pavement.
Well, and like if I go by my playlist and I hit, and most of the time when I do my playlist running, I don't hit shuffle. I hit play, and because I know when I get to a certain song where I should be,
Right.
you know. So, and that helps. That helps. I think the other thing is too is hard with work. You know, people's jobs. Like you are at your go at the job. It's hard to shut that off when you get home, and sometimes the time that you get home or the time that you get out of work, if you get out at 8 o'clock or
Right.
7 o'clock, by the time you shower, by the time you eat dinner, by the time you put the kids to bed and sit, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Exactly. You know, and we are from two big Midwestern cities that had public transportation. And I know I had an awful lot of friends that lived in the suburbs in Chicago, but worked in the city. And their relaxing, lazy time was on the commute to or from work. Because if you drive to work, uh, you hope that by 5 o'clock when you clock out and you get in the car to drive home, that's going to be a relaxing time, and sometimes it's exactly the opposite.
Well, and the last thing you want to do is relax in your car in traffic on there.
Yeah, but I mean, you can put on soft music while you're driving, but if you're moving, that's one thing. But if it's stop and go,
yeah,
you can't relax to the music because you're too busy concentrating on this crappy, flow of traffic that you're sitting in. Now you get home and you're completely the opposite. Instead of being relaxed and ready to further relax for the evening, now you're all wound up.
I think the biggest thing with being lazy or relaxing, which they can go hand in hand, um, and there's is getting in that discipline. It's discipline over anything because motivation to do something wears on you. Disappear. You're not motivated every day. Look, I love this show and I never want to stop doing it, but I'm not motivated to do it every day. I'll be honest with you. I'm not. There are some
That's
days I'm like,
because of me.
yeah, it's your fault. But um but even my show, like, you know how many times I want to, like, I have or I'll go be a guest on somebody's show, or you know how many times I want to send them a message and be like, can we reschedule? Because I'm not motivated to do it. But
Right.
it's discipline. It's discipline. And so I think if you can discipline yourself to give yourself time, whatever that may be, whatever you choose. If you want to take a bath and drink a bottle of wine, well, not a bottle, but a glass. If you want to meditate or go outside or work out, whatever, if you can discipline and stick with that discipline, that'll help you when the motivation's not there, and you might actually get some relaxation that way.
I have often found, maybe you have too, that means that when you do get away for that week vacation, I realize there are some people that want to go to New York City or something and just be wrapped up in the middle
Yeah.
of all that. Not to me, I want the exact opposite. Give me a cabin up in the woods someplace and just listen to birds, maybe a little creek in the back that's babbling, that just separate yourself from humanity. And I would much prefer doing that than going to, big cities or that kind of stuff.
It's like two different types of vacations, like I love the idea of going to explore a city I haven't explored, or a city that
Yeah.
I like, maybe I want to spend time in. What you do in that city, if you choose to go to Central Park and just chill, if you choose to go to a museum and just spend the day, then go get a bite to eat and go back to the hotel and just chill. I understand that it's not as relaxing, but
Yeah.
it's a break. This week, I mean, right now, as we speak, even though this is not live, I'm in a cabin.
We're
This
not
is my
live.
Yeah, I know people are shocked, right?
I'm
I'm in a
shocked.
I am definitely in a cabin right now because this is my week where I'll be in a cabin and nobody's going to hear from me. I'm not going to post on my like social media podcasting stuff. If it's on there, it's because it's scheduled, and you got to do that. I'm unplugging, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have my phone, and yeah, just in case an emergency happens, but I'm not. There's no plan to be in this cabin. I'm just going. That's the plan, you know.
Because you have to define what lazy means, and lazy is not a bad thing, folks.
Mhm.
In fact, I think lazy is probably more of a good thing than it is a bad thing. Yeah, if you're working and you're not doing the job that you were hired to do and you're being lazy, that's one thing. But
Sure, but
you know,
like,
but the idea is to work to your fullest extent so that you can take that lazy time, as we said earlier, be it an hour on the couch or a week away in a cabin out in the middle of no place. It's what you define as lazy and then take advantage of it.
well, it's like chores and housework. Look, I've been lazy on laundry lately, and I know it. And right, it was one of those situations where it's like, man, I better do this because if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Right, right.
Starts to pile up. And then instead of the one load, I got two. Oh, instead of the two loads, you now got almost a full load of towels. So now, and those are lazy things that you can put off once in a while. Or you're like, I really need to change that filter. I really need to dust. And then you look at your fan and it's like, oh, it looks like the pyramids.
Well, that's why we started eating with paper plates and plastic forks and knives and spoons, because just too lazy to wash the dishes. So
That's
just eat it and throw it away. So, all right, well, you go be lazy, and I'm going to go be lazy. I'm going to go take that newspaper off of that guy's face, and I'm going to sit down and read it for a little bit, and then come back next week. You'll be back from your vacation, and we'll be live.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what we're talking about next week. Do you know what we're talking about next week?
Do I know what we're talking about next week? Let's see. What are we going to talk about next week?
Just
Well, we were thinking about talking about the new Universal, and
okay.
now the new theme park that's coming into our area for Peppa Pig. Ooh.
Yes, Peppa Pig.
Luke might get into that one.
Well, we'll talk about it. That's a good conversation. So Universal, Peppa Pig, theme parks coming to Frisco, and whatever else we decide.
There you go. Catch you next week, Tuesday, 8 a.m. right here on Trash Talk. Bye.